Hello, welcome to Coffee with Ken.
Yes.
We are
Coffee with me.
turning the tables again.
Yes.
And it's because we know y'all want to hear a lot from Ken. We've heard people say we want to hear about some of Ken Brown's stories. He's a good storyteller, and he's got a lot of stories, and especially a lot of stories about success. So, and especially about the topic that we're talking about today, which is about the law of decision. We were talking last week about law of decision. We want to kind of carry that over into this week about the law of decision, and specifically about how to make decisions. Every day we make decisions.
We do. That is a very true statement.
Every single
That's
day
right.
we make decisions. We make decisions about what we're going to wear today. We make decisions, and sometimes there's decision fatigue. So you can actually have so many decisions that people just
Check
like
Don't care.
they don't care anymore.
Right.
And I've heard of very successful, wealthy people. They know what they're wearing each and every day, and they have the same, very similar, or the same things that look the same, but might have a different shirt
Okay.
every single day, just so they don't have to make so many decisions.
It's true. I do that.
It really is true, because there's so many big decisions we make during the day that we don't want to have those conscious decisions we're
Sure.
making. And so we're going to talk about how to make decisions, especially in relationships, regarding marriage, but also in the family. So let's dive into that. Tell me about maybe how you make decisions in your relationship. Let's start with that, with marriage. How do you make those decisions?
Well, I think there's a before and an after. So I think there's and I think that this is a deep topic because your background, your environment you were raised in, how your parents raised you, how your family interacted, how your extended family just literally decisions, and how your family arrived at decisions affects us today. And I had to work through a lot of that, right? The more of the traditionalists raised in the South, so mom typically had a specific set of jobs she did, dad had a specific set of jobs he did, and realizing that may not be the most honoring or what we needed in our family, and starting to reconcile what you're taught versus what really needs to happen, right? The gifts and skills that your wife has, the number of children, and when we started having more children than we were, so we went to, you use a good term, I won't steal your term, but I'm going to mention it because we went from man to zone because we were outnumbered, Butch. We had more kids than there were us, right? So how to take care of them, how to be on the same page with that, and that took a tremendous amount of work. And I call it, you have BC and after death for Christ. So you have, before Christ and then after death or after dissension. So you think about this for a moment and you realize before me, it was before coming to Destiny Global and then after coming and realizing that being hard and not coming decisions completely in agreement with you, where you would just be quiet in your personality type.
Yeah.
And
And mostly on that, if I didn't say no, it was a yes.
See,
That's how we came to decisions a lot.
That's how you do it. So if she doesn't say no, it's automatically a yes. So I've realized through a more deeper communication, it's true, Butch.
Oh,
And
I believe it.
And the number of people watching right now, I promise you that
Yeah,
over half
maybe-
of the men,
yeah,
it's the same
that they
thing,
can
because
relate
if
to
you have a different personality type, so we'll get into that. But if you're geared towards one that is compassionate versus one that is very hard driving and is control versus perfect versus servant with servant's heart, which both of you have very huge servant hearts. And I'm all about the decision and moving to the next thing. I just blow right through that, right?
And we want peace. That's really
Yeah.
Yeah, you want
about the
peace.
Mark Gungor, the one that wants peace. Like I just want peace. So how can I word this where there's going to be peace?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just like, don't say anything, right? Because you don't want to oppose it. You don't want to come in opposition to it. So You don't
Yeah.
say anything, and then because you're thinking about it, and that's what I do. I'm really thinking about it, and mostly how to approach it to not create tension and all of that.
Absolutely.
And so if
Until the car shows up in the driveway.
Well, you didn't
Which that
answer
is a
me.
You
that
didn't say no.
you didn't say no, so the answer is yes, and that actually occurred. So a brand new Audi A8 was in our neighbor's driveway, and she said, "Man, that car looks really good." I said, "Thank you, it's mine," and it's how things happen sometimes at the Brown
He's
household.
not lying.
And
I
the,
know, I believe you.
the truth is now working together to say what is best for our future. What is the because on larger decisions, right? There's still a lot of small decisions. I give April total freedom. She has now her own accounts because you can't be a Proverbs 31 woman if you don't have some control of some portion of money and funds that you're going to be using towards. Because the woman went and bought her own field. She didn't come to the husband. It didn't say anywhere
she
in there.
considered a field, and she bought it.
You're right.
So
But
shouldn't- yeah.
it's realizing that your heart is always towards our family. And my heart was sometimes about what I wanted. And buying a vehicle or the whole family didn't fit in it, and I didn't care. She had a van. They could all fit in that thing, right? Well,
And then he didn't want to drive the van, so he'd like, come
Separate.
in here,
I'll meet
everybody
you
come
there.
in the back. No, like we would be all on each other's laps.
it was a big
It
car.
was
They could
like-
all fit in
I
there.
was
The
like,
seatbelt
I'm
would
done
cover
with
two
this. They're
kids.
too big now. Like we can't stuff them into seatbelts. So-
Oh my God.
Yeah.
See, now the truth comes out. So, audience, thank you for joining us today and learn about the bad decisions that Ken Brown made. How to make good decisions is don't make the same decisions I made that were bad. There you go. But the reality is she's right, and it came back to where I felt almost a sense of entitled because of my success that I could do really what I wanted, and you can get bought into those ideals very quickly and not realize that you're affecting. And so thinking through how the larger decision is going to affect everyone.
Yeah.
Does this align with our goals of where we're going? And
I think that's hitting the nail on the. Is that how you say
yeah,
it?
hitting the nail on the head.
Yeah.
It's exactly how you
As I
say
was
it.
saying it sounded right, but kind of, but basically, like what your vision is, and coming together as a vision, because that's how you make your decisions.
Mhm.
If you don't have a vision and you're making decisions based off of your own personal wants and desires and not what is best for the family, because you don't have a vision for the family.
Right.
You don't have a vision for your marriage. You don't have a vision for the family and what you want for your legacy.
Well, that's where everything started coming together for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was the puzzle lid. And we didn't have an agreed upon puzzle lid. And so you were building one puzzle and I was building another.
Yeah.
And now we're looking at the same puzzle lid, and it makes the pieces fall together so nicely. And we, our 1 year vision, our 3 year vision, our 5 year vision, and really our long term vision of what we're going to be doing. And we're watching every one of those things happen because we're working together to do that. And it
And I don't want to put it all on you either, because I have had to learn how to communicate into that, and communicate in a way that not just not saying words. You have to talk. You have
Right.
to say what you want or you don't want, and in a way that helps you to understand that, and comes from a viewpoint that you're set, you want to win, like you want that challenge, you want to win, you like nice things. So how can we spend this money best for investing in our family?
Right.
So I've just literally changed my language as well. So it's two-way. It's not just like, because I have to communicate.
thank you,
I have
sweetheart.
to realize that I have to communicate too. So
Yeah, because if she doesn't say anything, then it's an automatic yes. So she's learned to not do that, right? And say, well, let's talk about that. I know that there's something coming when she says that, Butch, because then that means we're going to talk about it and don't go do that right away.
Yeah.
So we've
Yeah.
come to an understanding and agreement in that. But
Or an answer could be, I remember hearing over the years that great idea, because you don't want to squash. Like
right,
our personnel doesn't want to squash
right.
someone's idea, no matter what we think of it. So it's, that is a phenomenal idea, but do you think the timing could be off? Type of thing. If it's a big money spent or
Yeah.
something along those lines. Great idea.
Yeah. Is that in our priority right now?
Yeah. Versus
Yeah.
saying, that's stupid,
Mm-hmm.
you know, type of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
and
Probably not the best thing to
No.
say too.
well, debt, and to some degree, didn't bother me before. It didn't because
Mhm.
we
Yeah.
made, you know, when you reach a certain threshold that the government calls you wealthy, and you're and you are able to pay off things when you think you should, but then you start making other priorities for yourself that don't align with the family, and then that debt starts to grow a little bit. And April was always one that was much more conscientious about that stuff, and I would just say, hey, we'll do it, and I'll pay for it later. I'll get this or do this deal or whatever.
Mhm.
And she was like, well, what happens if you can't do that? And that's where the reality of, man, you do have to have a vision and a plan, because there comes a day, and Danny taught this from the stage many times, we all count on that, whether it be a business or something. And by the way, if you look back at the history of businesses, any business you can look at, there are very few that are in existence over 30 years.
Mhm.
This business that we're sitting in right now is unusual.
Yeah.
Ones that exist 60 years are even rarer,
Sure.
and ones that are 100 years old and over that are especially publicly traded, you can count on your hands. They just don't exist.
Right.
Yeah.
They're purchased by another company. That name is gone, or it's a sub brand of something else.
Mhm.
There are very few companies that exist that period, and there's a reason why, is
Yeah.
because you fall into a spirit of entitlement and I'm just going to keep doing what I do, instead of thinking through strategically and constantly reinventing yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, when's the last time you went to Blockbuster?
Mhm.
Oh, you can't because
Yeah.
they're gone.
Or bought
So,
Kodak film.
Kodak film, yeah.
so that is something we think we can count on, but it's something that
Sure.
you don't know. Like, and so that was a big insecurity for me. Like, I just felt like, who knows what can happen tomorrow? I was always thinking of ahead of those things and those possibilities. And he's like, you can always pay it off. I'm always, going to make lots of money. So,
Why would
Sure.
you ever doubt me?
yeah.
Right. And the reality is if I'm pushing up daisies,
Mhm.
she's not going to have that. And so even with that is planning for our future and having, another question is asked, does Ken Brown have life insurance? Yes, I have life insurance. And so does this company. And Danny's believed in the same thing, right? You have something to protect yourself long term. And if
Yeah.
something happens, so that my family is well taken care of for generations, right? It's just planning ahead.
So speaking of family, you're talking about marriage, but we know for Butch that you have this your whole family lives on
A ranch.
a ranch,
19 acres.
19 acres, and there's a house, and then
3 families.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how do y'all make decisions? 'Cause I know y'all have made a lot of decisions.
We have.
As a family of where to. First of all, that first decision of where to live,
Mm-hmm.
then you've made decisions about getting a chicken coop and making a chicken coop
yeah.
and getting a Airbnb and so how have y'all made those decisions?
So what's nice is that, we all have been through first steps,
Yeah.
right? Which we have upcoming next weekend.
Yes, we do.
And
Yes.
the GEMS training that's in there, right? So we know each other's personality, and we honor the other person's personality. So, but there'll be times where we'll say we need a meeting, and the 3 families, we all live on there, 6 of us adults, will sit at the table. And some, there's a little bit of a sacrifice. Others are like, okay, they're more easygoing, but you have to talk because it's hard, even when you have that understanding. It's 3 families making
Yes.
that decision. Communication. You have to be able to communicate. You have to be able to talk. And I believe that we've created the environment where there's no judgment, there's no offense that takes place. It's important to that person. Let's talk through it. We have a
So-
family group chat that does the same thing. We'll put in there, hey guys, what do we think about X type of thing? We won't just, hey, let's put a driveway in to go this way, or let's go
Yeah.
build something over here. No, we
You
talk
have to talk about it.
and we come to agreement.
So what if there is something that happens as a disagreement and you said that y'all communicate? without, and you've learned to not have this judgment. I know there's been times,
Yeah.
and especially during that first year or so that y'all had those things. So how did y'all come to that place of honor and
We
not judging?
talked further through it. You know, we would just, the big thing is to come together and not harbor it. If something happens or somebody does something or makes a decision, because let's face it, you have 3 families that want to invite people or do different things at the house or do different things with the property, and you might not think it's a big deal, and but another person's personality might be like, oh, time out, you know. So we've kind of learned through that process to, okay, let's communicate a little bit more with different things. But the big thing is to talk and not harbor it, because our personalities can be sponges to a point where they absorb and then boom.
Ooh, the
so-
baboom is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
that's-
baboom
Big
is bad.
expression.
That's
You don't want that.
no baboons.
And avoid. No babooms.
No. So we
Yeah.
it really does come down to communicate. And you can do that with your kids
Yes.
as well. It doesn't, you know, just because they're a child doesn't mean you have to treat them, you know, when it comes to communication, set the standard. Allow them to speak. Give them to freedom. And don't look at them and go, well, it's my house or it's my honor the children and let them feel important as well, no matter what the age is, because that's where they learn that stuff.
That's awesome. So
that is actually really good.
those are some really good things and points, and it's so important. And so we were talking about the law of decision and how to do that, and I think just some really good advice for how to do that. So comment underneath and tell us about how you make decisions with your family with and in your marriage, because we know y'all have got some great things too. We have seen some of our clients and coaches. Our coaches are amazing with so many ways that y'all make decisions and how you come together and how you communicate. So we also want to, as Butch alluded to, that we want to invite y'all to First Steps to Success, April 29th through May 1st. And we also have a service day the day before on Friday that we would love for you to join us.
We have 50 people signed up right now.
Yes, it's so exciting.
Crazy.
That we get to come together and like serve
Make a
together
difference.
and get to
Yes.
know each other more
Yes.
in an environment like that. That's
Yep.
where you really get to know hearts and people. So I'm really excited about that. So we'd love to have you join us for that. So like Destiny Global, like our page, and like this, share it so other people can know some amazing ways of about the law of decision. So thanks for joining us today with Coffee with Ken. And we will
Yes.
And
see
we
y'all
will
next
see
week.
you. That's right.
Yes.
Next week.
Next week.
Yeah.
Bye.
See ya.